Good morning, and thank you for joining me for day 2 of the Naviant Summit. This morning, we are going to be talking about OnBase and automation in state and local government with one of our customers from Kent County, Michigan. The discussion today is really going to be about how you can build a successful process automation strategy for each of your own individual agencies. We're going to talk about best practices and challenges you might be facing as you are building and executing that plan, and ultimately hear from one of your peers, a change agent, just like many of you, what it takes to support those efforts. Many of you participating in today's session may be in different stages of your automation journey. Some of you may be just starting and building a plan, while others are going back to previously deployed solutions and now trying to optimize where you are going to provide that continuous improvement and make things just a little bit better for the end users in that department. No matter where you are in that journey, there are a lot of considerations that need to be prioritized, discussed, and mapped out if you're going to be successful. Over the last 15 years, I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of fantastic leaders in the public sector and learned how they navigate the complexities of implementing and supporting enterprise applications, figuring out the complexities of infrastructure and whether to select an on-premise or cloud solution, how to select, train, and retain internal staff, figuring out where to deploy first and who might align well for those changes that come with business process automation, how to build an annual or multi-year roadmap that helps prioritize initiatives for the agency, and how to budget and manage requests across a variety of departments and users. Really, ultimately, your main goal is to build something that's sustainable with a self-sufficient support model so that you can kind of handle this solution ongoing within the agency. I'd like to formally introduce the star of the show, MaryBeth Vantill, who likes to be called MB, who is the IT manager at Kent County. MB is going to tell us a lot more about Kent, but just to give everyone a baseline about the county. Kent is the 4th largest county in Michigan with a constituent population of 659,000. There are 21 departments across the county, and MB is supporting OnBase as one of the core enterprise applications with a staff of 3 OnBase admins. So MB, welcome, and thanks so much for sharing a little bit about your journey. How did you get started at Kent County?
Thanks, Vince. So I have been with Kent County for 10 years. We've been using OnBase much longer than that. But I started with the OnBase team about 7 years ago as a system administrator. And over the course of time now, I've progressed to being the IT manager over the OnBase team.
That's great. That's great. So your team today, I mentioned it's 3 people. How do you kind of support the application with those folks in the county? Like, how do you divvy up what folks are working on and the skill sets across those people?
So as kind of a basic requirement for all 3 of our system admins, we have them do the sysadmin certification as well as workflow. Those are our 2 basics. Beyond that, then people can specialize in different areas. So we have one person that does much more with scripting and with writing our SQL statements. I have another person who is going to be more versed in agenda management. That's an upcoming project that we have. And then another that is really focusing efforts on forms. So it really kind of is guided by the requests that come in. And I let the team pick, there are certain things that they do well or that they're interested in, and then they get to jump on that project. So I want to make sure that not only is our customer base happy, but also our OnBase team is interested in the work that they're doing.
That's great. So when you first started getting involved with OnBase, were many of the departments migrating from paper? Were there other systems that they were migrating from? Were folks storing things in Windows Explorer or file shares around the county and the departments? Like, what did
Well,
it look like?
that still continues, unfortunately. People, yeah, just storing things everywhere. I think initially in 2007, what kicked us off was really our accounts payable process. That is what introduced us into the world of OnBase, and that was replacing a paper process. Since that time, we have now integrated it with our financial management system so that the OnBase is kind of the storage for those invoices, but we also then link with our financial management system. Um, as far as where are other people, we have people that are migrating from a paper process, or we're finally doing a huge kind of sweep or dip process to get things that they've been storing on a personal drive or on a departmental drive into OnBase with the correct metadata that they need.
That's great. That's great. So how many users across the county do you have today? Like how many departments are utilizing the application across the county?
So departments that are using it across the county, our probate circuit and district courts are using it to some degree. Our friend of the court is using it. Department of Public Works, Drain Commission. Drain Commission was an interesting one. That was a lot of very old kind of antique maps that we needed to bring into the system because the paper itself was degrading. Human Resources uses it. Our fiscal, accounts payable, and payroll uses OnBase. Risk management, corporate counsel, purchasing, and our sheriff's department. So, and now that's just kind of snowballing. I have a list of about seven other requests that are just kind of waiting until we have the resources to dedicate to them.
That's great. That's great. So when you look back at all of the departments that are utilizing OnBase, and obviously you've been at the county for quite some time now, working with these departments, rolling out OnBase, have there been any big wins? Have there been some challenging areas where maybe, hey, if we had to do this all over again, we might have taken a different approach? Would
Mm.
love to hear like what the positives have been, right? But also like where maybe the holes have been like, hey, a different approach maybe would be like this because we learned quite a few things that didn't maybe work out the way we wanted them to.
Right. So big wins initially were with that accounts payable, and also a friend of the court has really been using it early on since the around 2008 2009. I would say as far as boy lessons learned, it's going to be with a lot of departments. We'll start out slow. We'll kind of dip our toe in the on-base water, so to speak, get them used to the interface, and maybe just use it for file storage. Once they achieve a certain amount of comfort with that, then we can start introducing, hey, did you know that it could also do this, this, and this? And then they start thinking about, okay, how else could I use this? What other things in our business process? Where are our pain points? And see if OnBase might be a good fit for that. Um, we've also started using a business analyst up front when we do our initial investigation because OnBase isn't always the answer, right? We have a lot of different platforms at our county that we can use for different things. And so it's nice to have a business analyst that is not necessarily committed to finding an OnBase solution, do that initial discovery, and then kind of take it back and say, okay, what is the right product for this? Sometime if you're the OnBase sysadmin, you see everything through the OnBase lens. And so we want to make sure we are matching the technology with what is needed for the project.
Yeah, that's great. And I feel 100% the same way. I think over the years, as I have gotten involved with customers or specific departmental solutions, one of the things I always like to say is if there is a system in place and it's working and the users like it,
Mm-hmm.
my job is not to figure out a way for you to replace that with OnBase, but more
Right.
augment the challenges around what that application or what your business process, what you don't have today, and how OnBase can augment it and make it just a little bit better. And
Right.
I think when we take that approach, we ultimately have much better solutions when we do end up using OnBase to solve those challenges. So I love that you guys
Yep.
are doing that as well. It's definitely a best practice that I have seen. So you mentioned that there are quite a few projects in the future, like what do the departments think about OnBase? It sounds like maybe there's a drive where they're bringing kind of some challenges, or hey, we really could use your team's help in coming and visiting with us relating to things like what does that look like in the county? How does that process work?
So for us, it all starts with just somebody putting in, whether it's an email or putting in a ticket with our service desk that says, hey, I need to investigate some type of solution. And discovery type or intro meetings can start, even if I don't have the resources to dedicate to that project right away. We start the conversation so we can understand more. We can start to determine, okay, what's the right software? If it's OnBase, what's the level of effort? Do we have the right training right now? And do we have the modules that are needed? And we have to look at all of that because OnBase isn't free, as we know. And if we don't have the module, then we have to look at, okay, is the requesting department going to procure that? Do I procure that in IT? And so there's a lot of things that just have to happen up front before we even get started. But it all starts with that initial request. What's been happening more recently is we had a huge win with our corporate counsel recently in developing a legal matter summary business process for their case management. And they've been telling people. So now word of mouth has been traveling, and we're getting more departments that are like, hey, saw what you did for corporate counsel. Wonder if we could get in on this action. And which is great. It's a great problem to have, but we've really gotten a lot of requests recently, just by word of mouth. So
That's great. That's great. Um, so I know that Navient and Kent are working on some rather strategic initiatives at the county right now. Can you tell the audience a little bit about, I guess, what we're going to call Operation Paperless and how that kind of came about, and what does that look like for your team and what's going on? Because I think it's a really it's a really cool story.
it's huge. So what had been happening prior to engagement with Navient is we would have departments within our courts that would say, hey, could we be using OnBase for this? And we might build a solution for our probate court. We might build a different solution for our court clerk's office, and then yet a different solution for our adoptions office. And everybody had their own way and their own business process. And so we, as we're the support. We build it to what the customer requests. But what started happening now is the court started looking, hey, wait a minute, how can we all become paperless as a courthouse? And that posed some unique challenges with, well, we have to, and I love how Navient phrased it. They phrased it as you have to have that greater good conversation, which is kind of, if we're all going to be pooling together to do this Operation Paperless, we all have to be able to give and take a little and work on processes that will benefit the greater good, which is the overarching project. And this is huge. So this is going to be an 18 to 24-month engagement with Navient. What's going to happen is Navient is partnering with us to do the business process analysis and get that current state, that future state design. And then we'll also be doing the initial build out and implementation of these solutions. And then our team will take over the support of that. And part of the reason that we partnered with Naviant for this is it's so big. We needed somebody who could come in as that third party and hold those discussions as kind of a neutral third party. Like, we just want this to win for everybody. It also allows the 3 admins that I have to continue to work on our other requests that are flowing in, because otherwise this court project would take all of our time for the next 2 years. And so kind of splitting that up and letting Navient lead that effort is really has really been a good fit.
Yeah, as you know, I was on site for a few days and got to sit in some of those initial discovery sessions, and I thought it was fantastic that the county created their own kind of change committee for all of the key stakeholders that are going to be involved in the courts. And there's an incredible amount of stakeholders when you ultimately think about it. Members of law enforcement, the probation department, the district courts, circuit
Mhm.
courts, family courts, probate courts, clerk's office. There are so many people that are involved
Yeah.
in really managing the paper and the case file today. It's going to be transformative, but there's also
Yeah.
so much change in that. So communicating what is happening at every step in the way, I think what I've seen your team is doing a great job of really clearly setting the expectations and letting people understand the why we are doing this and how it is going to impact it for the greater good at the end of the project. So it's been fantastic to see on the front end. Tell me, MB, what other things are on the horizon for you and your team? I know you have had what many of our customers in the public sector space have been facing with changes in staff, and
Mhm.
people are usually not calling your department to say hi. They're calling because they want help or they have a challenge that they need your assistance in solving. So would love to understand like what that looks like for you.
So, yeah, on our horizon, so we have Operation Paperless, which is its own animal for the next 2 years. We also have requests from our Board of Commissioners office for agenda management. So we hope to get that up and running yet in 2024. We're starting our upgrade right now to version 24. So that has us immediately busy right now. But we have our veteran services. They want a real contract management type solution that will take all of their business processes and all of their documents and pull that into OnBase. We've also been playing around with external facing forms, and we've had some small wins with that initially. And so now we can start augmenting what type of forms we make available, both internally and externally. And then I think one of the other big ones that's on our horizon is to integrate with TrueSign. So we currently have DocuSign that we've been using kind of outside of OnBase. We, for whatever reasons, didn't get that integration up and running, so we've been using it more ad hoc. But I really want to move forward, particularly with the court project, and then with our other integrations, move forward with TrueSign as our solution for signatures.
That's great. That's great. Well, MB, thank you again for all of your valuable insight about your success with OnBase at Kent County. I know there are a lot more incredible wins coming up for your team with Operation Paperless and the other initiatives that you will be attacking over the next year. And
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for talking to our audience about all the cool things that your team is doing. So really, really
Hey,
appreciate it.
thanks. My pleasure.